Today I'm going to go over a simple approval pattern that can be incorporated in different agencies, professional service firms, real estate firms, etc., which can be built in almost any project management or CRM system, and is going to also leverage automation platforms such as Make.com, Manhattan, or Zapier. In this example, we are going to be using Make, of course, because that's what is my preferred tool. But what we are going to cover is how to stop incomplete work from slipping through the cracks, which is something very common that I see with people that I work with. And first, we want to go what happens without automation. So, why do we need these types of systems in the first place? Something that is quite common is a lot of times salespeople forget to add required client info, or different cases move to fulfillment with missing data. Um, Likewise, cross-department coordination overhead, project stall, deadline slip. Basically, something moves through a status, and there is a dependency, or there is a certain piece of information that is required for the fulfillment process to continue, or for the execution to continue, and it's not provided. Therefore, the team member that's assigned to the task needs to go back, ask a previous team member, or the fulfillment team needs to talk to the sales team to get that rectified, which is a lot of overhead and a lot of unnecessary communication and time that is not spent working on the actual task. The real cost, obviously, time wasted chasing missing information, cross-department communication overhead, incomplete CRM records, which is crucial because the power of the CRM is only valid if it's actually filled up and if it's up to date. So in the case that that's not happening, it's just a fancy dashboard that is not providing the value that it needs to. We also have compliance risks in some regulated industries, like let's say you're a law firm, for example, or an estate planning firm, and you have some sensitive data, stuff like that. So how we are going to fix this is using an automated approval gate, which is going to be triggered from the CRM platform, and it's going to be validated using an automation platform, either Make.com or N8N or Zapier. We're going to check if specific fields are filled. We are going to check if that's the case, if they're filled, we proceed to the next stage. If no, we revert the status. We notify the responsible person, and there is no manual write-offs that need to happen. Now we're going to move on to some of the case studies. Let me move this a bit because I clearly did not plan this diagram too well, which is for an estate planning firm, like I already said. They're based in the UK. Something that they were dealing with is they're a regulated industry. They have strict compliance requirements that they need to go through. And in the case that the cases that they're working on are progressing without legal approval, that's a liability, and that's a problem. They were using Monday.com to store all of their cases, and I built them a simple automation, which I'm going to show you like this because I am not able to actually show the actual automation live. But what we have is we're watching this case status change. This happens in the actual CRM. After that, we pull the item. We are able to check the compliance gate and the final sign-off. So how we set this up is you have the stage column, which is the main column which we use to monitor the different status and how the case is progressing. And then we also have compliance gate number one and final approval, which need to also be marked as approved if we want to move down a specific status. So if we have a status that is set for compliance gate 1 and it wants to pass to the following status, if the compliance gate is not met, we revert it and we send a comment. This is a simple diagram that visualizes this, but I want to really move on and go over the actual practical example that we have here, which is for a different company, Team Plus. They were migrating their CRM from Monday to ClickUp, so this automation is going to be built inside of ClickUp. And one of the risks and one of the problems that they were facing is this is a internal Monday function. I believe you can make some of the columns mandatory, so you have to fill them up if you want to move them down a specific status or to send them somewhere else. However, this is not possible in ClickUp. Therefore, what we did was we built an SQL gate that validates the duplicates and autolinks. So it's a pretty simple automation, which looks like this. And this pattern can be deployed for any similar use case that we might be facing. Okay, so let's say we have a test lead in this case in contracts, and we want to move it down the next stage, which would be in this case closed one, because these two phases are just for nurturing. And once someone moves to contracts, the next stage usually should be ideally closed one. So I'm going to turn on this scenario. We're going to click on wait for new data, and we are going to move this to closed one. We received the webhook. We are then setting the task ID here just so that it's easier to test. We're then pulling the task. We are going to find if the fields are missing. In this case, they were. The services did not exist. We're going to post the comment, and then finally we're going to update the task and pull it back into contracts since it did not pass the compliance gate. Now, this is a universal pattern which works for almost across all platforms, across Monday, ClickUp, Asana, Airtable, GoHighLevel. Basically, if you have any webhook-enabled CRM, that you can deploy something like this, and it's going to work just as well. And the way to implement this is first you need to identify your approval gates. So this is a crucial step of any automation that you're building. You need to know what you're trying to automate, where the moving pieces are, where something might be missing, or where something might go wrong. Once you have that, you can create the approval and validation columns in your CRM. Or if it's the case if you're watching for fields to be not empty, we can just code that into the automation platform that we're using. We're going to set up the triggers either in Make or in NA10. We're going to build the validation logic. We're going to enforce it. So we're going to either allow or revert plus notify. Then we're going to test it. And finally, we're going to monitor the execution history. This is another simple diagram which goes over how we're going to achieve this. We're going to basically everything starts from the CRM, and then the automation platforms orchestrate the entire flow and the logic until you have something that works reliably and that is able to monitor all of the different changes and compliances that you might have. So yeah, this can work for approvals. It can also work for different list statuses, etc. Why this matters? It eliminates cross-department coordination overhead. It's going to enforce data quality at the source. We can create audit trails for compliance. We can prevent incomplete work from progressing, reduce errors and reworks, and also we can scale operations without adding headcount, which is huge. I mean, if you can deploy systems like this across many different departments in the business, you can probably at some point even operate without project managers. You can just have very well oiled systems that work and that create tasks automatically, that assign people automatically, that watch for approvals and stuff like that. So, or in worst case scenario, you have one project manager instead of 5, which again is quite a lot of saving. When can you use approval workflows? Any regulated industry, finance, legal, healthcare, real estate. If you have multi-department workflows that are complex, so let's say the point where different departments connect, so sales to fulfillment. If there are any high-stake processes, so contracts and approvals, or let's say it's a final video that you're delivering. Let's say you're a content agency. These things need to be approved, and we need to double check them. So that's when it definitely makes sense to have an approval workflow like this. Making sure that the data is good, that everything that we need to operate the CRM is present. That is also very important. And everything else that comes down to things slipping through the cracks and missing deadlines, having to communicate with other departments when it's not necessary, stuff like that. So if you would like help implementing something like this in your own business, you can find a link to my website in the description. I build these systems for a living. At this point, it's what I do all day, every day. Also, feel free to subscribe for more automation deep dives. I will try to record one of these per week, maybe more, depending on how it goes. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have that link in the description as well. And if there is some specific topic that you would like to for me to go over next in terms of CRMs, different project management softwares or tools, cloud code, how this software and AI just comes into project management and CRM organization, fulfillment systems, onboarding, stuff like that. That's very exciting to me as well. And I would love to go deeper into it as well. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you soon.